primary resource I use are legal records. They are recordings of cases in the Sharia court sigils or registers, as well as fatwas or opinions by jury consultants, muftis, and a wide variety of other sources that from the Central Ottoman Archives to national records of the various regions that I studied, in order to get not just at the relationship between kin and court or between kin and court, but also at the political economy of these two cities and how that might have affected family life. Really animating this book is a puzzle. I went into it thinking that I'll be able to historicize family and get a better idea of relationship between family and Sharia, and to have two data points that might give a robust understanding of the social history of family life. What I wasn't expecting is that these two cities, even though they're very close to each other, even though they're within the same imperial umbrella of Ottoman rule, even though they were both part of the same cultural zone of Greater Syria or Bilad al-Sham or the Levant, had very different ideas of how property should be developed from one generation to the next, and even had very different ideas about the place of women in the family and their property holdings. So yes, it revealed a very big surprise. The surprise for me was that there is no such thing as a typical Arab family or a typical Muslim family or a typical Mediterranean family, that one can see systematic and long-term differences in forms of family organization, relationships between relatives, transfer of property from one generation to the next, between these two cities, even though they were within the same cultural and imperial and legal zone. And so how to explain this? So this book is not just a legal history, it's not just a social history, it's not just a cultural history, it's also a political economy book, because my research shows that the way people made their living, the backbone of each region's economy was so different that it really affected the ways families were organized. So in Tripoli, for example, the big surprise was that in property devolution strategies through Waqf or these pious endowments, women were always included, 99.9%. And in fact, in the third of all such endowments, they were given equal share to males, which is very unusual because the normative Islamic rules of inheritance say the male twice the share of the female. So this actually, a third, giving them equal shares, wasn't expected. In Nablus, on the other hand, the situation is almost exactly the opposite. The more we move on through time, the more women are excluded, to a point where women were almost completely excluded from most waqfs. Not just given half the share of males, but excluded altogether. And the question is, why? Well, I hope readers will take the time to not only look at the panorama of possible understandings of all the different things that family could mean, but also how it's related really to the political economies of the two cities. And in the end, start rethinking their assumptions about Islam, modernity, women, which are three major topics covered in most knowledge production on the Middle East, and to ask themselves, all of these writings assume things about what family was like and what religion means and how the Sharia operates, but that these assumptions have not been tested historically in terms of an in-depth study that carefully works out how over a 200-year period these understandings and these relationships actually changed over time.